Hey everyone, just got some replays. Just got a few replays with teams that I'm not really retiring, but sort of just that I don't think are going to be good, at least in their current form. So I'm pretty much just like posting these videos and stuff. So I've used this one in that last video, so you probably already know it. My opponent's just got Sticky Web. Doesn't seem to be like the standard, like the like the Zygarde, Celesteela, or sometimes Thundurus build that NJMP made. But this is definitely just more of a custom, just see what I can do with this sort of thing. Just trying to deviate using Mawile, which is by no means a bad Pika. I don't know that it's like the best um, beneficiary of Sticky Web, or that his team in general is the best at it, but I thought it was kind of worth explaining because it kind of like shows how you want to approach playing any sort of Sticky Web. Obviously, this person doesn't have as many threats on their team. They still do have Mawile and potentially Z Landorus, but it's definitely not as threatening as the standard build, like the cold hard standard one, which I actually have played with I think a variation of this team, but so I'll probably get that one too. Possibly, I don't know. I'm not sure when. I could probably, if I have enough time, do it in this video. But so what happened basically was I led Marowak. I figured that was like the most extendable thing because, well, look at my opponent's team. The only thing it might do is like outspeed Mawile, but I'm pretty sure it was at that point in time where I changed it to like only have minimal speed, or not minimal, but maybe like 24 EVs, just outspeed like other non-speed Marowak. And so basically, I traded my Marowak for a switch into my Scarf Keldeo. The Scarf is going to help me out a lot because it's going to put me at 345 uh, instead of like what 1 or 200 speed, probably 200 speed. But yeah, because that's how it works. The choice scarf you get, it's 1.5, then it rounds down, and obviously like that's why I would be at 1 less speed if you didn't know. Anyway, I go to Keldeo and anticipating either the Latios or what do you call it, the Latios, basically anything to switch into this, which would probably be Latios, possibly Mimikyu. I'd be able to have Scizor Mega Evolve and get a decent matchup. Now, obviously, I'm not going to want to defog because I know what Bisharp can do to my team. I might not lose right now if I were to defog, just because I do have Keldeo in the back, but it would make it so much easier for Mawile to just clean up my team. So we are just going to go with that. So I'm just going to U-turn out as opposed to defogging. That was pretty much like the play of the game that kind of just dictated um, like the outcome. If not, it was very pivotal in doing so because I'm able to bring this matchup again. My opponent obviously could go Latios, but they'd be taking damage, they'd be risking a burn. I haven't actually attacked with this Keldeo, so there's the possibility that I could be Specs, and then, have Choice Scarf Lele, or even like a sort of random set with like Stealth Rock Landers T on like a Choice Scarf set. So I mean, there's possibility for that. So that's, I guess, why they sacrificed the Bisharp. It's obviously weakened, so it's not likely that it's going to get any more time, unless of course like I switch Landers into it, which I probably would not do. So at this point, I'm basically going to switch out. At this point, I need Keldeo. It's very valuable in revenge killing that Landorus, and aside from that, it doesn't really do anything. I suppose it does break the disguise from Mimikyu, or it can, maybe do like 40% with Scald, or if I want to hit a Hydro Pump, I can probably do close to like 80%, just because Mimikyu has decent special defense. So I'm just going to go Landorus on the Mawile, pretty standard play. It doesn't really warrant an explanation. So right here, Rocks is probably the best play. I was kind of just hoping they would stay in more than anything. but Rocks would have been the most beneficial play just because I would have been able to cover all the bases, and if I predicted the Landorus T in general, I should have just gone for Hidden Power Ice. So, I mean, like, just Rocks. Like, Earthquake did not make any sort of sense, because, what do you call it? It was very unlikely that my opponent would sacrifice them all well, just because it does sort of serve as a check to Lele, a very soft check at that, because I am Specs, but against a team with Scarf Lele, or even dual Scarfers, it would be a necessary component in preventing me from sweeping with Psychic. That and maintaining Mimikyu's disguise, keeping Latios healthy, etc., etc. So they end up knocking my Landorus out with the Sky Strike. I'm just going to go into Keldeo. Of course, I outspeed it because I have Scarf. While I was going to obviously enter the field, I actually do get the burn, but at this point, I believe all I needed was the damage on Scizor. I'm not quite sure if Bullet Punch would have knocked me out. It would have depended basically whether or not they had fire coverage on Mawile. But it's looking like if that wasn't the case, I probably could have roosted it off. I just had Scizor in the game, obviously, and that's very unfortunate that they missed the play rough right there. But basically, after this Mawile had gone down, their team was much more manageable. I had Lele for Latios. Basically, it just claimed to kill, so long as they didn't make it so that Mimikyu was on the field at that time. And Scizor obviously just pressures Mimikyu in so many ways just because of priority Bullet Punch. It's really good physical bulk. And so that's pretty much what's going to result in me claiming the win. They do have Hidden Power Fire, they predicted it, and so yeah, I think that's pretty much it, because I just go Lele. At this point, just click Moonblast and just skip this turn. They go into that to break the disguise. I'm not quite sure why. We're going to find out that, what's it called? We're going to actually find out that Kirambi can take a play rough from, actually no, that was Burn, but, wait, yeah, I burned that Mimikyu, but I believe Kiram actually moves it from full, which is kind of insane to think about, but this thing actually, if you were to invest in its defenses, it's actually bulkier than Skarmory. Not that you would do that, because obviously it's like, its defensive typing is terrible and it offers very little utility, and so yeah, that's pretty much it. On to the next game, I guess. So we got this team. I've kind of like retired it, mainly because it doesn't really have a way to deal with faster threats like Mega Manectric. This is a game where I don't think I played too badly. Any sort of revamp of this team would probably involve like a choice scarf, but the point of the team is pretty much use priority in order to revenge kill. It's got Banded Dragonite, nice Spike Scren with, I think it's Going Shot, Pump, and HP Fire. AV Tangrowth and Helmet Chomp just to set rocks up. You know, get a little bit of chip damage if Landorus wants to huge run out. Which it might versus like Tangrowth and stuff, which benefits Mawile, of course. And so, yeah, and just Mimikyu with Disguise is amazing for teams like this. Anyway, I'm just going to lead off with Tangrowth in this one. I don't really see a reason not to do so, other than what could possibly be Flyinium Z Landers, which is obviously something to take note of. It does seem that Landorus is going to likely be carrying Stealth Rock, which doesn't discount any possibility of Flyinium Z, but it's just like, what do you call it? It would just mean that I would have to either skip that out with Mimikyu, or I can go directly into Garchomp and probably just let that die. I would have been in a really bad position had they just let off with Landorus, is what I'm saying, but playing the numbers game, like, Tango just did so much that prompted me to lead with it. And so, what do you call it? They actually volt switch out with Manectric, quite aware of the fact that they can't OHKO me from full. They're gonna make a play that kind of like sort of contradicts what they had just done, and so they actually go into Lele. Allowing me to knock off the specs is really important for me because I can use this to pretty much deal with Lele, whereas had that not been the case, they would have been able to just Psyshock for, I'm pretty sure, 2 KO, just because AB Tangrowth doesn't carry many defense CPs at all. So anyway, I'm just going to use the Disguise in order to help regain some nice regenerator HP. Obviously I could have like stayed in, but Landorus T is a possibility, which is why I went Tangrowth. Just covers all of my options, and I'm kind of thinking that this is like defensive just based on the build of the team. Obviously could be Z, but it just looks like it would be defensive if I had to take a guess. So I'm just going to go for the Hidden Power Ice based on that damage. It's definitely bulky. Yeah, okay, we didn't see any leftovers or anything. So this could be still Z move, but I've gotten a lot of damage on it. And I guess if I wanted to go into Mawile, I could, and probably not die to the Flyinium or to the Sky Strike just because of Intimidate and the fact that this thing is not likely carrying a lot of attack EVs, just because the Hidden Power Ice did like 63% not damage. That would have been like that would have been like a couple percent. So I basically just go into my my Garchomp on the off chance they wanted to go for U-turn. If they wanted Earthquake or HP Ice, completely fine. I would be able to get my rocks up. The main way I'm dealing with Manectric is through revenging of E-Speed. If I can Protean Spike on a turn that Manectric is likely to switch in, I can definitely use that to my advantage in playing around it. But the Landorus being very weak helps me a lot in that if my opponent wants to defog, it's very what I'm saying is it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to set hazards back up because Landorus is obviously weakened, and it just wouldn't be worth doing it, sacrificing your entire Tapu Fini just for a safe switch into Landorus T, which is outsped by pretty much everything but Tangrowth and Mawile. So I'm not sure that that would be worth it at all, just for multi-skill to be broken. Or not for multi-skill to be broken, for them to defog and set rocks up. So it looks like we're playing the game both with Stealth Rock. At this point I'm just going to go into my Tangrowth on Expected Hidden Power Ice. Sorry about that. Overheat actually does not knock me up, and I didn't think they would go for that just because Manectric is kind of a threat to my team. It's very crucial. Any sort of prior damage could put it in range of Mawile's attack. Though I guess you could argue that by them volt switching out against, well, actually, no. It would make more sense for them to overheat first turn than to volt switch out and then overheat, because at least at that point in time they had the Intimidate protecting them from the Earthquake, from doing any sort of substantial damage, whereas right here they just risked their Manectric. Obviously wouldn't have died to the Earthquake, but it would have been in range of like Stealth Rock, a few switch-ins, maybe even Shadow Sneak from Mimikyu. Definitely Banded E-Speed would have picked it off, which is why I just go for the Giga Drain as opposed to the Earthquake. I just wanted to cover my bases, and obviously if they do like decide to overheat, because I'm not quite sure that Hidden Power Ice would knock me out. It did 25, and so -2 it would do like half that, or do like 12 on average. So basically what that means is that I'm able to get my Stealth Rock up, I'm able to pose a gigantic threat to this Mega Manectric, and I'm completely fine with that. So at this point I'm just going to switch my Garchomp out into Greninja. not likely that they would go for the Giga Drain on the Garchomp. It's not impossible. Just figured that they would predict either Garchomp, Dragonite, or Mawile, just because those are things that could potentially set up on Tangrowth if it lacks the appropriate coverage move. They actually end up going for the Earthquake, I guess, predicting the Mawile. I'm not sure how much that would have done because of Intimidate, though it is regular Mawile, so I guess it would have done at least 40%, which is not bad damage at all. I'm just going to expect the Landorus T to be sacrificed, and I'm just going to go for the Spike. Pretty standard play. I mean, they had a Landorus in the back. That's going to happen. Manectric is taking all these spikes, which makes it a lot more manageable, and because I had transformed into a ground type, I know that they're either going for Overheat or Hidden Power Ice. My money would be on Hidden Power Ice, considering that I do have a Garchomp. So I'm going to go out to Mimikyu on the off chance I can get the prediction correct and maybe knock it out. I actually calced it after the game. Shadow Sneak was not knocking that out. But it does mean that it can't switch out, so for what it's worth, I can go into Mawile and just knock it out with the Sucker Punch. I don't have to really fear any sort of switch. They could obviously go to Feeny, but again, it's just not worth defogging at this point. They do go into Feeny now in attempts to basically salvage it, remove the hazards, which would, I guess, make Tyranitar a little bit more likely to live any sort of attack with either Tank Chomp or Greninja, provided that I don't have the low kick. If you didn't know, I believe Grin actually needs Stealth Rock damage to knock Tyranitar out with like Hydro Pump. So I guess that's a pretty key play in that sense. This Thunder Punch actually knocks out the Tapu Fini, which was a bit confusing to me, but I guess they do run a bit more speed. Actually, like the standard set when I went to Calcs, actually showed like max HP, max speed, and it was like timid, so I guess that explains why this knocked it out. Anyway, they're just gonna go for the Earthquake on the Mawile. I'm just gonna go into Garchomp. Obviously, I can get my rocks up, which is just fine. I'm just gonna go for Fire Blast. If they wanted to go and delay, that's completely fine. I just didn't want to Dragon Tail and have the Lele switch in, because then it would just be a dead turn. And obviously, there's the chance I can the Tangrowth, which would do a lot more damage over than Dragon Tail, because I'd basically be healing it in the sense that it would just be forced out, but it would have, of course, the Regenerator. So if that makes any sort of sense. That's why I didn't do it. Just going to go in with the Iron Head. Felt pretty safe doing that. Obviously, I could live any sort of attack. Earthquake did 50%. Flinch would have been really nice there, just going to say. But yeah, they end up sacrificing the Tyranitar, and that's going to allow me to clean up with Greninja. Due to the fact that I have Gunk Shot, I'm not going to risk it on this, of course, because it's easily going to be knocked out with Ice Beam, and I think Tangrowth should be knocked out with Ice Beam. Yeah, it's probably going to be knocked out. At the very least, it would have been 2 KO'd from full, which would have been just fine, because Banded Dragonite would have survived at that point. And I could obviously just go for the Ice Beam. There's no reason for me to do anything, because I can just Moonblast, and it would just be an awful time. So that's pretty much that. We're at like 19 minutes, so just end the video right here.